Hey guys, good evening. Welcome back to our playlist, which is data analysis in 3 weeks. We have discussed some really good topics so far, and today we have planned to discuss the dictionaries. So, yesterday we couldn't have the session, but today we'll be talking about dictionaries advanced part. So, we'll be talking about the remaining good concepts in dictionary. So, we anyway covered the lists the other day, right? So, day before yesterday. So today we'll be talking about dictionaries likewise, the way we discussed the list the other day. Right, and then again, I'll try to talk about the different attributes, different methods available under dictionaries. So I'll go through them one by one. And then also I'll give you the examples, ask you some questions, and then we'll see how we can proceed. Great. So, hey Akash, good evening. Thank you for joining us. And I hope people have started joining in, guys. So do inform your friends and whosoever wants to be part of our chat. So anyway, it's a pretty much live session, so you know that. And as always said that I'll be more than willing to take up your questions. And those questions could be anything. So you can ask me any questions. It could be from technical parts of Python, or it could be anywhere regarding your career, job, data science, anything. So feel free to ask your questions, guys. Utilize the time and then we can always talk. Hey Ali, thank you for joining in. Good evening. Right, so before starting up, a quick introduction about myself. So, my name is Arpit Jain, and I'm a lead data scientist myself. I have almost 9 years of industry experience into multiple domains. I've been working in multiple domains: finance, automobile, manufacturing, cloud, and telecom. So, I've been into multiple domains. And also, along with my experience, I've been also working as a motivational speaker. So I take up industry sessions. I talk to students regarding their job, career placements. So any questions regarding that area as well, feel free to put up your questions, guys. Okay, so we can always talk about your questions, anything regarding your career, job, placement. So we can take up that. Okay. So also, guys, I hope you guys are practicing whatever we have discussed so far, right? So we discussed about the introduction of data types, multiple data types, and then we did a detailing over list and tuples. So I hope you guys are also following up what I've been saying, right? So do let me know if anything which is missing out. Okay. Hey Kannan, thank you for joining in. So we have a question. So do data scientist freshers get job? Why not? Obviously they get job, right? They do get job. I mean, yeah. So for freshers, anyway, jobs are not that easy, right? But yes, obviously they get a job. It's not like for data scientist freshers, they do not get jobs. So see, hierarchies anyway sub exist everywhere, right? So you might have heard of junior analyst, junior data scientist, or an intern also, right? So a lot of opportunities. So it's not like you always get hired as a senior position. You have to start your career at some point of time, right? So hierarchies definitely sub exist. So junior data scientists, they definitely prefer candidates who is having 0 to 2 years of experience. So this is what you can obviously target: data analysts, a junior data analyst, junior data scientist. So this is what you can start your career as, right? So to answer your questions, yes, they do get hired. Cool, guys. So as always, just to tell you, I'm monitoring my chat. Any questions, anything, do feel free to put up in the chat. So I'll take that. Okay. So sticking to our topic for today's discussion, as I said, so we'll be discussing about dictionaries. So let me jump into the content. And meanwhile, you can anyway ask me questions if you have. Just let me pull up the screen. Right. So let me know if my screen is visible, guys. Right. So I hope my screen is visible to you. Cool. Great. So here you remember we were discussing about dictionary, the very first two classes. So we discussed about how dictionaries are created. There are multiple ways in which you can create the dictionaries. So it's by using the curly braces. We also talk about using the dict function. And under that dict function also we have multiple ways. We can use an equal to operator. We can pass the list of such key value pairs. A lot of different options we have to create a dictionaries, right? So dictionaries can be created in multiple ways. So we won't go in that direction because anyway we have covered that. But we'll try to, just take a gist of a few things which we did in the last exercise, and then we'll proceed from here on, right? So quick question. So now, just a quick recap. So whatever we did. So you remember, right? So we have created this dictionary. So I have a student dictionary, where it says the name, the ID, the age, and the education of a particular student. It's Arpit in this case. So for example, if I create this dictionary student, right, and if I call the student here, you can see the key value pairs, right? So I have name as Arpit. So here key is on the left side, value is on the right side. So this is my key. Sorry, name is my key. For the key, in a value is Arpit. Likewise for ID, the value is 21. For ID, for age, the value is 30. Likewise, this is my key value pairs, right? Now, how I'm supposed to access the element? Just quick things. So four quick things which we generally do, on which we can do on top of dictionaries: access the element, update the element. We can also add an element and we can remove the element as well, right? So how, first point, how we can access the element, right? So quickly, as you know, to access the element, since it's an unordered sequence object, so unordered sequence object means here there's no ordering, so indexings won't work, right? So it is not ordered, okay? So there's no indexing here, right? So now here, if I talk about student, right? So student here, it is not indexed. So if I do student of 0, for example, so technically, if it would have been list, it should have returned this, right? This entire pair, right? Ideally. But if you do it this, you'll get an error because there's no 0. So 0 is expected as a key here. Student is a dictionary. So you have to pass the dictionary name to access it. So I mean the value, the key name to access the content of it, right? So here, for example, if I have to access the name, I have to give NAME, the entire thing, as my accessing content to get the values. If I do it like this, I'll get the value as Arpit. Cool. This is how it works. So you have to, for accessing the element, you have to give the direct key name. Okay. So that's what you have to do. Now here again, one thing which you can do on top of this is updating the element, right? So for example, as I was saying, suppose if my age is 30 here, the original dictionary, if I figure out that the age which I'm seeing here is wrong, right? So I can directly call this age. So if I call this age, it's going to return me 30 because that is the original element here, right? But if I assign it to something else, for example, if I assign this age to 25, for example, it's pretty much valid, right? So now what it will do, if I print student here, now the age is now rectified to 25. So now if I call age here, right, for example, the age will be given as 25 now, not 30. So I can always update whatever element I want. And again, guys, it's not like I can only update this age to 25. I can also give says age 25. This is also pretty much fine because now I can assign it to any random value, and this value could be any data type. Okay, so I can still do that, still valid. If I do it like this, I'll get 25 as a lingual character here, right? It's still pretty much valid. I can do that. Okay. Likewise, the third thing which I can do is add an element, right? So we can also add a particular element on top of it. So now how to add? As I was saying, if I want to add, say, say, suppose whatever, I want to add if what is my marital status. So like student, if I give, say, marriage, right? So marriage, if I say, for example, yes. So now here, the student, if I call student here, now if you can see, I can update the dictionary on the fly. So now the same dictionary, instead of having 4 key value pairs earlier, now is having 5 key value pairs. You know that, right? So I can also add an element. Likewise, I can remove the element also. So I can remove, for example, say this. So now if I want to remove this marriage from this, I don't want marriage to be there. So I can simply use the del keyword and I can simply write, so del student marriage. So it will remove that the marriage key value pair. And now if I call student here, you can see now this marriage is gone. Only name, ID, age, and education are there. And remember, guys, every time it's a sequential operation, right? So first I've edited the age from 25 number to 25 string. Now you can see in the final part also it's 25 as lingual character, right? So it's a sequential operation, right? So once you edit something, it's gonna be there unless and until you're gonna change that. Cool. So that's how it works. Hey Anirudh, thank you so much for joining us. Great. So that's how the basic concepts we have studied so far. This is just a quick recap to you. Now a question, and an interesting question, guys. Quickly, I want you to tell me this answer. Look at this example very, very carefully, okay? So you have 2 dictionaries in front of you, D1 and D2, okay? So look at this example very carefully, guys, very, very carefully. The question to you is, are these 2 dictionaries same or are they different? Quickly, guys. Are these two dictionaries same or they are different? A question to everybody who is part of our chat today. Meanwhile, I'll take Kannan's question. Is sir whether dictionary is unordered sequence? Yes, it's an unordered sequence. Kannan, yes, it's an unordered sequence. Guys, quickly, do let me know. You have these two dictionaries in front of you, D1 and D2. Look at these dictionaries very carefully, guys, very carefully, and tell me whether these two dictionaries are same or are they different. Guys, these are very tricky questions, guys, very tricky questions. But trust me, I've already told you the answer for this. It's just like you have to relate the dots, right? And that is where it is important. It's not like I'm gonna give you a few basic steps and few basic functions and few basics, definitions and all that, and then you're done. No, you have to connect the dots. That's why we are called as analysts. We are called as data scientists, right? So from the numbers, we have to connect the dots. From the data, we have to connect the dots, right? So you have this information in front of you. Just think, just try to just take a guess also. I'm fine with that, right? Anybody, Akash, Ali, Kannan, Anirudh, whosoever is a part of our chat today. Just a quickly, guys, do you think these two dictionaries are same or are they different? Okay, so let me tell you guys, let me tell you. So as you know, dictionaries are unordered sequential object, right? So अगर मैं unordered बोल रहा हूँ, yes, so Kanan says same, same. Okay, we have one answer from Kanan. Right, so you know this, right? So it's an unordered collection object. So अगर ordered होता, अगर if it would have been ordered, right? Then in that sense, I would have said that there is an indexing here, right? Indexing matlab, we have the indexes for each of the elements. So first element would be given 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. But since it's an unordered collection, right? There is no funda of index here, right? So there's no index. It's just like key value pair. And it hardly matters when you whether you give a key, a first key at the first place or the key as the second place. Does not really matter, right? Is just the same. These two dictionaries are exactly the same. There's no difference in that. Just we have reversed the order of the key value pair. Now look at this very carefully. So now here the first key value pair is 0 and A. So here key is 0 and the value is A, right? And what I have done in the second one, I have just reversed the order. Here now the first 0A is given in the last for the D2. Likewise 1B is given here. Now 2C is given here and then 3D is given here. So it's just like a reverse order of your dictionary, right? It's just the reverse order of your dictionary. So technically, since we know that there is no indexing logic here, it's just the key value pairs. So order does not matter. It's an unordered sequence. That is where unordered things come, right? So it's not, see, again, you will read this everywhere. Dictionary is an unordered sequence object. But what is the meaning of this unordered? This is the meaning of this unordered, right? So there's no sequencing logic here. The ordering of my key value pair, the items of my dictionary does not really matter here. It's just the content, right? So here in this case, both D1 and D2 are equal. These two are equally same. So now if I run this, for example, how can you get to know? Right? So eventually when you access the element, you give the key to access it, right? So D1, if I have to access say element 0, I'll still give 0 here and I'll get the value as A. And even for D2, if I give 0 here, I'll still get A, right? It does not really matter whether this 0 is present at the first key value pair or the last key value pair. It's still the same. So the answer is both the dictionaries are same. Very well said, Akash, Ali, Anirudh, Kannan. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Right? So this is how it is, right? So this is what unordered meaning is. Clear, guys? Any questions? Do let me know. Okay? Cool. Chalo, last question to you. Now I have my D1 here, right? So D1. So a quick question to you. So now we know that, right? So we have this what to say. So D1 object. So to access the particular key, to access the particular item, we have to give the key name to that, right? But also we have studied in list and tuples or in strings also that we can slice the object, right? Slicing still works. Slicing का logic क्या है? Start colon end colon step. So this is the slicing logic we have, right? So here Do you think these slicing logics, so d1 of -1, d1 of say 1 colon 3, whether these two will work? So first let's talk about these two. Quickly guys, do you think these two things will work here in dictionaries? Quickly. Do you think this slicing logic will work in the dictionaries? Quickly guys. Right. So Akash says no, right? So let's try to run this. My God. Let's try to run this quickly. Absolutely. We'll get an error because there is no -1 and all here. So -1 and everything, this more like an index to me, right? So this won't work. So this slicing logic won't work here because slicing works on indexes, right? And we do not have indexes here. So do not get confused by this. So people generally ask this question in interview, right? They ask these questions in interview. So do not get confused by all this. It's pretty simple, but again, you have to understand this logic, okay? It'll give an error. Yes, very well said, guys. Very well said. Now, another question to you. So, as I said, right, so I can also add an element in this. So now we have been using append in list. So we have seen append, we have seen extend and all that, right? So do you think d1 dot append will work here? So can we append an element e here by using the append function? Quickly. So I'll tell you the answer. It won't, because append is again not an attribute here. Okay. So to add an element, we have to simply use the assigning operator. Okay. So do not get confused by all this. These are very standard questions which are generally asked in the MCQs when you go for the interviews. Very standard questions, right? So that is the reason why I've put this as an example. Now, on top of this, we have certain very good inbuilt functionalities available in dictionaries. Okay. So inbuilt methods. Okay. So certain inbuilt methods which are very important to understand, I mean for you to understand in terms of getting to know how to work on dictionaries. So you can see the list here: clear, get, items, keys, values, pop item, and update. Okay. So these are very important built-in dictionary functions. Okay. So I'll go through them one by one. I've written the notes here, so I'll go through them one by one and I'll give you the examples also, right? But again, any questions, guys, do let me know in between. Okay. So very first module, very first method which we have here is clear. Okay. So clear, what it does, it empties the dictionary for all the key value pairs, right? So for example, it'll clear out everything. So ultimately the output of my dictionary after running the clear function will be an empty dictionary. Okay. So that's how it works. So once we have run the clear operator, clear function on my dictionary object, right? So that at the end, I'll be having an empty dictionary. Okay, so it'll clear out all the attributes, all the items of my dictionary. So for example, if I just show it to you, so now if I have said D here, and if I call d.clear, the result will be empty dictionary. And it is valid for any random dictionary which I create. So I can add any such number. So I can also, for example, so if I just keep on adding, say, a few more attributes here, if I give as a AA and I give say 100, then if I write BP and if I write 200, right, and then if I write CC and then I have 300. So any number of key value pairs, any data, any key, any value, right? So it does not really matter here. Ultimately, if I do clear means clear. It's like a clear screen for me. Okay, just like a clear screen for me. So it'll clear out every item inbuilt function I have available in dictionary. Clear? Cool. The second is get. Get is very interesting. Okay, so get is very interesting. Let me show you get one by one. Cool. So get method, what it does, it returns the value for key if it exists in dictionary. Okay, so for example, look at this definition very carefully, guys. So get is going to return the value of my key, right? So value of my key. You have another way to return the value of a key, right? You know that. So for example, I have this dictionary D and I have D here, right? And if I want the value of key B, for example, in this case, I can simply write a square bracket and write B on top of this. I'll get the value as 20, right? So this is another way of getting the value for the key, right? But there's also a method. There's an inbuilt method for dictionary in which you can call, and in that function you can pass the key name directly to get the value of it, right? So for example, here if you can see d dot get, if you write as b, it's still gonna get you 20. Okay, so here get can give you the value of a key which is passed under the parenthesis. Cool, clear? Any questions, guys? Any questions here? So get is simply giving you the value of the key for me, right? And likewise, I can give any key, right? So for example, I can give A, it'll give me the value of A. I can give C, it'll give me the value of C. So whatever it is present, it'll get me the value of that key, right? Now, for example, so if the key which is passed under my dictionary, it is not present in the dictionary. So for example, if I have to access the element D in that sense, D dot get D, right? So I don't have D here, right? So what it happens, it won't return anything, okay? So it won't return anything. It won't give an error. It just return a none type object, right? So for example, look at this. So the object type is none. It's just going to return a none type object because that key is not there, right? It's not going to get you an error. It's going to give you a none object. So that is where it is written. It will return the value of key if it exists in the dictionary. And also we have a possibility to handle the error here. I'll show you that. I think we have a question from Akash here. Do I have to create a variable for copy method? Is that efficient way? Do you have to create variable for a copy method? Is that an efficient way? Okay, so copy again, yeah. Copy again, there are three different types of copies actually. Deep copy, shallow copy, so all that, right? So there are 2-3 ways of copying. So it depends what kind of copy you want, right? So if you want a deep copy, you want the exact replica of your variable to be created and you want to use that to be part of your streaming and also. It depends totally. Right. So again, as I said, so it depends on what is your objective, Akash. But yes, so I mean, if you ask me in efficient way, I would say that again, so if you create a deep copy of your variable by using a copy function, actually, right? So that's gonna create you a new variable for the same thing. So definitely, it's more like it's not memory efficient. Definitely, it's gonna take double the memory which you are using right now, right? And but again, if you want to store a true copy of your original data and you don't want to tamper with it, then this is the right way to do that. So it's not about efficient. I mean, so efficiency is, again, can be judged in 2-3 ways, right? So performance wise, memory wise, your requirement wise, right? So a lot of different definitions of efficiency for me in this case. So memory wise, I would say no, it would, because definitely we're using twice the memory. But again, if you talk about performance, it's still ambiguous because depending on the data, which the variable size, performance would be different, and your system memory and your server memory and all that. But if you talk about the requirement, and if the requirement is to not tamper the original data, then definitely this is required, right? You cannot do anything else apart from this. So it depends on the requirement totally, Akash. I hope you get my point, right? But it's a good question. Again, coming back, guys. So as I was saying, the get method returns you a none type object if the key which is trying to fetch the value for is not existing, right? It won't return you an error. It'll give you a none type object. Cool. Now, very interestingly, we have an option to handle the error also. We can pass any garbage value, right? So we can pass the garbage value. For example, if I want to print something also, if the key does not exist, right? So we have an option for that as well. So we have an option we have an optional argument to return the garbage value of the key to garbage value if the key is not found. For example, if you see this, so print d dot get d, and here if I write a comma and if I write a value which I want to be returned here, right? So for example, -999 is a garbage value, right? So I can always do that. So instead of returning the value for d as a none object, it's going to return me 999, a garbage value. Or I can simply do anything, right? I can return, say, a not available. It's going to return me not available, right? Or NA or like whatever, right? So I can always write an optional argument to return whatever element I want to return if that key which is being fetched from the get method is not available in the set dictionary. Okay, so that is also that error handling is also possible in get operator. Cool, clear? Great. चलो next पढ़ते हैं items. So items is again very very interesting. So items मैं आपको बताता हूँ items में क्या है. So items we have. So items क्या है basically? So let's try to understand what are items, right? So items are nothing but my all the key value pairs which is part of my dictionary, right? So all the items which is all the key value pairs, right, which is part of my dictionary are actually my items of the dictionary. Okay, so for example, if you see here, right, so if you see here, a ka 10, a's value is 10, b's value is 20, c value is 30. So I have three such key value pairs, right? So if I check d dot items, I'll be getting three individual elements, right? So three individual element means it's, so now what item does, it returns a list of tuples containing the key value pairs. So how many list of such tuples? Three list of such tuples in this case, right? So one tuple would be having a comma 10, the second tuple will be having b comma 20, the third tuple will be having c comma 30. So this is how it's giving me the list of key value pairs which is being returned while using the items operator. Cool. And here again, the first element in the tuple would be my for my key, and the second element would be my value, as always. So the order will still remain the same. I'll show it to you. So meanwhile, we have a question from Kanan. He says, does that garbage only reflect in original dict? No, no. So very good question, very good question. So now if I print D, D is intact. Very good question, Kanan. I really like this question. So when I'm saying this garbage value, right, it is not impacting my original dictionary. Okay, my original dictionary still remains the same. I'm just printing for a visible purpose. For example, right, for example, just why it is important, I'll tell you the lookout of it also. Suppose you have 10,000 lines of, or say 1,000 lines of code, right? And you have a dictionary in between somewhere, and you are trying to manipulate, you're trying to add some functionality by using a value of a particular key, right? And now suppose when you're running the code, right, when you're running the code, and it is happening in somewhere in 500 or 600th line, right, and you don't know where it is happening, right? So I mean, you obviously know you've written the code, but it's somewhere in between the logic, right? And now for some instances, so you don't know whether the value got added or something like that, right? And you don't want the error to fade out in the production. So in those senses, we always try to add a try catch kind of a scenario where so we can have something like, an exceptional handling kind of a thing. We always do that, right? So in the production codes. So for such scenarios where we handle the production codes, we always write these checks, right? So for example, if the key is not there, try to give me a log. So we can always add a logger also. We can always get this log added to my logs, and we can see what's happening, what went wrong. So all of these, this is more like an exceptional handling, so more like error handling in my production codes, okay? But not altering my original data, not altering my original dictionary which I have, okay? So we're not altering that, we're just keeping it as it is. That is not changing. Cool, but a good question. So original dictionary still remains the same. Does that clear your question, Kanan? Right, great. So let's proceed. So we were in the items, right? So as we know, so items क्या करता है? Items, it is going to return you a list of tuples containing the key value pairs, right? So here the first element is the key and the second element is the value, right? Now look at this. So I have this key value pairs. So now can you see this? After running the items method, I have the list of tuples, right? So list of tuple means I have this list, and in this tuples I have three such tuples. So this 1, 2 and 3, and as I was saying, the first element is the key and the second element is the value. So first element क्या है इस tuple का? A है. So A is the first key and 10 is the first value, and then here B is the first key, second key, and 20 is the value likewise. Okay, cool, clear? Great, guys. So now in this, for example, d dot items, I just check this. So for I in d dot items, print I. Cool. So now we can obviously run the loop on top of this to get the elements. So if I want to do anything, right? So if I want to find out my key and the values here, right? So we can always just do iterate on top of this. We can see the keys, we can see the values. And then, for example, the first key is A, the first value is 2010. So whatever manipulation, so I'll be anyway running you through a lot of questions, right? So I'll be using this d dot items very frequently, right? So because I would have to see all the multiple key value pairs available in the dictionary, right? So I will be using this. So here keys, the values, so these are very good functionalities which are generally most profoundly used in dictionary, right? So d dot items is going to return you the list of key value pairs for me. Cool, guys? Clear? Any questions? If there's anything, do stop me in middle, okay? So items, पता चल गया हमें items से will get the list of tuples containing the key value pairs, right? The next is keys. This is again very, very interesting. So keys क्या करता है? So keys, as the name suggests, instead of returning the entire list of tuples of key value pairs, this is going to give me the list of keys. So now if I just see here, so instead of for this key value pairs, where A is 10, B is 20, C is 30, and if I pass on D dot keys, it's gonna give me the list of keys available for me, right? So list of keys kya hai yahan pe? A, B and C, right? So these are the keys for me. So now this D dot keys is gonna give me the list of keys from the dictionaries. So remember, guys, so I'll show it to you one more. So likewise we have the values also, right? So values there. So values on the same time, the same thing. If you run it for values, it's gonna give me the list of values, right? So instead of keys, it's gonna give me the values. So 10, 20, and 30 are here, right? So likewise in keys you saw above. So we have A, B, and C, right? And in items you saw we have the list of tuples. So both key and the values in form of a tuple. So these three are very commonly used functions: items, keys, and values, guys. Okay. So items क्या करता है? Just again a reiteration, is going to return me the list of key value pairs. Okay, item is going to return me the list of key value pairs, and on the other hand, the key is going to return me the list of keys. Okay, right? Post that, my value is going to return me the list of values. Okay, I hope you won't forget this. This is pretty simple. I mean, nothing very, very different here, but I think you are able to understand the point, right? Cool. Any questions, guys? Items, keys, and values. Any questions in this? Cool. Chalo, let's move to the next method, which is pop. Okay. So here, pop, what pop does is it gonna remove a key from the dictionary. Okay. So we can remove a particular key from the dictionary. Okay. So you also know that there is another way of removing the key. So this is not the only way. So pop is not the only way of removing the key, right? So we can remove the key also by using what? So suppose you already know that, right? So I'm just going to repeat that. So we have this dictionary D, right? And I don't want, for example, C to be there. So it's going to give me, I can use the operator del. I can do that. So del, if I pass the key here, which is say C, is going to delete me the element. It's going to delete me the key value pair C from here, right? Cool. I can do that pretty much. Now, what if now D is like this? Okay. What if I'm trying to delete which is something which is not part of my key value pair? So for example, I want to delete D, right? If I do it like this, I'll get an error because it will say D is not identified because this D is not part of my dictionary, right? So this key D is not part of my dictionary. So this I'll get an error here like this. So the better function, I mean similar, but I would say slightly better function which we have for removal of such keys is pop. Okay, so it's pop is like similar to the stack pops, so which I've learned before. So pop same ही है. So pop इसमें क्या करता है यहाँ पे? I'm gonna remove the element whatever I don't want, right? So for example, so what if I want to remove C here again? So if I do it like this, simple. I'll get D. I'll get the dictionary after the element C, the key C got removed. So the key value C got removed from here, right? So you can see A and B are left, right? So I'm just gonna run it again like this. Now, what if I would try to remove D from here? The same thing which I was trying to do earlier, right? The same thing. So here in this case, if I would see, now here again, I'll get the error D here. Now look at this. I'll get an error here D, but I do have an option to handle the error here, right? I can always handle the error. I have an option. So what I can do is, if again, look at the bigger picture. So if I want to say I'm running a production code where I have like thousands of lines of code, and then I don't want the error to be there and the code shuts down, right? So for those purposes, I can always handle the error, and then this error can be passed in my log. I can store the log and all that. So I can do that. So this error handling is also possible. So suppose the same thing, if I try to pop out D from the available dictionary, and if I run this, and if D is not present, if error occurs in that scenarios, I can always pass a garbage value. And this again, garbage value could be anything. I can also write not available. Just give me not available. Cool. It's totally fine. I can do that. Clear, guys? Any questions here? Any questions? Any questions, anyone, guys? I hope this point is pretty much clear, right? So we have discussed so far what all methods. We discussed about, initially we talked about my items, my keys, my values, a get operator at the start, right? So these are the very basic clear operator. Clear is very simple. So we discussed about all these individual methods available in dictionaries, and these are very much important, right? So we have writing 2-3 more. We'll try to finish that for today. So we have something called as PopItem. Okay, so PopItem is also very good. So now see this. So PopItem, what it does, it by default removes the last key value pair from the dictionary. Okay, so whatever the last key value pair is there, right? So that's gonna be removed from here. Okay, so we have a question from Shefali. The question is, sir, please explain the logic behind Python patterns. Python patterns. What do you mean by Python patterns, Shefali? Do you mean the strings pattern? That's what you're trying to say? Or what exact? I'm not getting your question. So, like, how to identify the patterns and all that? Regular expressions, is that what your question is? Okay, so I mean, meanwhile, Shefali is coming back. Okay, another question. How to master loop? Loop. Okay. Shefali says yes, sir. Okay, so guys, hold on. So again, I won't deter from the topic, to be honest, but rather I'll take this as a feedback, and maybe I'll prepare the content likewise for. And anyways, for string Shefali, string session is pretty much coming up, right? So don't worry about that. So I think I should be covering the pattern topic there. So your question shall be answered, because it's going to take a session in that, right? So we'll cover that topic there. And for the loops, how to master loops. So master anything, like I would say, it's all about practice, right? So you cannot master anything in day one. So that is the reason why, Kannan, we are trying to solve as many questions, right? So master karne ke liye to you have to practice as many questions. That's the only way out, right? So how to master is only by practice. But again, even in the sessions also, we'll try to capture as many questions. So for example, I'll tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm going to cover the concepts today. Okay, so I'm going to finish the theory part today. Tomorrow is going to be a more of an exciting session. So it's going to be more of a question answer. It's going to be a quiz for you. So like the way we did a quiz in list also the last time, right? So I've prepared some at least 5-6 questions. That's going to take time. Okay, so we'll code live here. Okay, so we'll do those questions live. But again, meanwhile, I'll definitely be asking questions from you as well, right? So that's how we have planned, and that is how I believe one can master anything in Python, not only loops, anything in Python, right? So I mean, it's not about one single thing, right? Star or in patterns. Okay, cool. So we'll cover that. Anirudh sir, will we solve interview coding round questions that we can come from DA? Yes, Anirudh. We that's what I was saying yesterday also. So there is a plan to start the interview preparation stream also. So there is a plan for that. But again, since we have only just started like a week back, right? So a lot of things to cover. So the objective is to first finish the basic concepts, the theoretical part, right, and then start solving the questions like on a daily basis. So as per the plan, we are planning to solve questions at least say 5-6 a day, right? And the plan is to cover the easy level questions first, and also I was planning to like launch ask me anything kind of a session. So we can also talk about the resume buildings and all that. So that's all. That's everything is planned, Anirudh. Okay. So, but please be patient, right? So please be patient. So we have still just started. It's just a week, right? So a lot of things which is in the background, which I'm preparing the content for, right? But again, things will fall in place and will be you will be notified with the right playbacks, right? So, but again, we'll be concentrating on finishing the concepts first in this playlist, and then eventually we'll be going live for other things as well. Okay, I'll definitely be updating you on that. Cool. Coming back quickly, let me finish this, guys. So it's like one last thing pending. So PopItem, as I was saying, is going to remove the last key value pair from the dictionary. So if I do it like this, you can see by default the last key value pair got removed. Now again, if I run it, it again going to remove this, right? Now again, if I run it, it's going to remove this A, and then it's going to return nothing. Now if I again going to run it, this time I'll get an error by saying that dictionary is empty. It cannot remove anything, right? So I mean, it'll just keep on deleting the elements one by one from last. So that's what PopItem does. Okay, cool. Chalo, last. So I think I have this last thing here on the update part. Okay, so update. This is the last function, last method available in dictionary. So update. What update does is going to merge two dictionaries. Okay. So now I have dictionary 1, which is saying A is 10, B is 20, C is 30. Now I have D and E also mentioned in other dictionary D2. Okay. So which is having D and the E key. Okay. So if I write D1 dot update D2, so basically what I'm saying is update D1 with the dictionary D2. So now if I call D1, I'll be having 5 such elements. So D2 got added or updated on D1. Okay, guys, simple, nothing fancy here. Likewise, again, as you know, I can write dictionaries in any fashion, right? So I can also have the list of such key value pair. This is again a representation of dictionary only, right? So I can do that. So this also I mean, although it's a list, right? But again, list of key value such pairs, right? So I can also use this format also. If I still do it, I'll still get a B, and so now here A, B, and C, right? So I've written B as 200. So now by default, the B value, which is part of my D1, got updated to 200. So we did not add another element B. So B was already there as a key present earlier, right? So now this B value got updated from 20 to 200. It's still fine. And then I have this D got added as an addition. So same thing is happening here also. So I forgot to run this. So can you see this? So here again, I have D1 as A, B, and C as key value pair. D2 is also having the same key B here and D. So if I do it like this, I'll still get B updated as 200. Now original 20 got updated to 200, and another, the last element D got added here. Okay. So that's what basically my update does. Last way of writing it. So now here also you can see I have my D1 here, this. I can also pass an update function where I can directly write D is equal to 500, E is equal to 700. Another way I can do that. So now if I see D1, I'll see again D and E updated with the updated value. This is again another way of updating it. Okay. So update basically it's gonna add another set of key value pairs to my original dictionary. So it's like more of a merging of two different dictionaries. So that's what update does. Okay. So guys, with this, I'm pretty much done with the functions, the methods which I wanted to cover for dictionaries. So I have another question from Anirudh, I guess. So placement rounds will start after university and sem exam. That's why I'm kind of worried. So when is your university and semester exams, Anirudh? So if it is anytime soon, then what we can do is maybe we can start running a parallel kind of stream for placement preparations and all that. We can do that. We can talk about that. Okay. So let me take about this. Let me talk this internally, and then we can plan another stream also. We can do that. Okay, so kind of another question, sir. Whether set default and from keys methods are not used often. Uh, May. Okay, so May. I think so it is March, right? So March, April, May. So we still have 2 months. I think it's still fine. Still fine. So I think I mean anyway. So we'll discuss somewhere in between mid of March, and then we'll see if we have to start a parallel track. We'll see that, Anirudh. Kanan says whether set default and from keys methods are not used often. I would say it's not like that. They are, I mean, they have their own usability. So I use them, but again, I would say not very often because again, set default तो आपको basically keys को freeze करने के लिए well, it's for freezing the keys, right? But again, it depends on the usage. So it's a very diplomatic answer, Karnan. So I won't say that they're not used often, but I mean, generally, I have not seen people using set default and from keys that often in their codes, right? But it's not like it's a bad function or like that. But again, it's more like the standard inbuilt functions which we have again, so it can be used. Cool. Great, guys. So I think with this, I'm pretty much done for today's session. Any other questions? And again, to answer you guys for the placements, as I was saying, we're gonna be running a parallel track for interview preparation. So don't worry about that. I'm gonna be. I'll have to discuss about this, but again, I'll come back to you with this. Right. So sure, Anirudh, I'll look into this. And so now again, guys, so for now the objective is to finish the data analysis part in this stream as quickly as possible, right? And also and post this we are planning to launch a machine learning course. Okay, so machine learning in which we'll be covering the base of statistics, and we'll also be covering the machine learning modules. So that is the objective, guys. So we will be anyway proceeding towards that. So that is how we are planning to think about the content, but I'll come back to you on that part as well. Okay, so but right now stay tuned. So we'll try to cover the content in this playlist itself, and with this we'll eventually be moving towards the advanced data science part, which will be covering your statistics, machine learning, and all that. So we'll be heading towards that. And also, as I promised, so I'll be looking forward to launch another playlist where we'll be talking about the placement preparations and all that. Okay, so we'll be looking forward to that as well. Maybe we can add, 2 sessions over the weekends. So I can think about that. Okay, so let me think about this and come back to you on this, Anirudh. Okay, guys, great. So thank you so much. I am gonna give your evening back. So stay tuned. So let's meet tomorrow, same time, 10 p.m. And tomorrow we'll be solving some good questions on dictionaries. Okay, so we'll be solving some really good questions tomorrow on dictionaries. Stay tuned, guys. Let's see each other tomorrow. Till then, happy learning and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.